Tom Burkhardt from car-revs Daily. In a very fun car today, the 2019 Veloster N. This is Hyundai's first performance car, sportiest hot hatch ever to emerge from the Korean auto giant, and a really, really fun car in general. I'm excited to go out and take the Veloster N on our little handling loop. So we just put it in N mode and custom so that we have all of the variable settings to their sportiest except the suspension, which is on more of a regular. I think it's on regular, not even sport. So let's dive in. So this 275 hot hatchback is priced from about $27,500, and then with this performance package, that's a $2,100 option. That takes us up to a total of like $29,800 or something. Out the door, including shipping. Awesome value, very, very fast. Kissing close to the Civic Type R in terms of its performance, but about 10 grand less. So let's talk about what's new with the Veloster N versus the regular Velosters, how it differentiates itself in the marketplace, and then you know, overall handling feel and dynamic thoughts throughout. But yeah, and then maybe we can close on some wish list items because there are a couple. So, I mean, this Veloster has been so much fun this week. I've been having a ball. So let's try to do a really good launch. All right, so we'll do... So, the best time I've read for the Veloster N is 5.2 seconds, which matches the Civic Type R. But I've also seen it, you know, Motor Trend got a 5.9, Car and Driver got a 5.2. So it's probably somewhere in between, and we don't have any timing equipment, but just want to do a good launch. And it flies. It flies. So this car is really, really fun for a ton of reasons, but having just all this power is one of the main ones. So really a 6-speed manual transmission, only transmission offered on the Veloster N. And of course, this is the upgraded high-performance version of the new Veloster, which was all new for 2019. So, and comes in from about 18K with 150 horsepower as in the base motor, or 147 maybe, and then which is a 2-liter 4. And then a 1.6-liter turbo with 201 horsepower is available. That base car goes 0 to 60 in about 8.5. The turbo's in about 6.5, and then this Veloster N, obviously in the low 5s. So both of those other trims are available in an automatic or a stick, but just the stick for this Veloster N. And what a fucking stick it is. This stick shift has got to be the best of 2019 of any of the cars I've driven. It is so fluid, it's so smooth, the engagement is so positive and so lively. I absolutely love it. Okay, so first things first. So let's talk about so what changed to make this Veloster N. First off, this car has been in development since like 2013. The N in Veloster N stands for two things. It stands for Namyang, which is Hyundai's new global R&D megatropolis that they just built, you know, with tracks and durability tests and all sorts of cool stuff like that. And then it also stands for Nürburgring, because Hyundai, in addition to building a giant garage mahal in Korea, in their home place, in their headquarters area, they also have a huge garage right by the Nürburgring, and they've been doing extensive testing on this car to essentially make sure that it really lives up to being the first N, you know, the first full N model. And it really, really does. It's so much fun to drive and so fast. I really love it. So some of the things that have that are different versus regular Veloster, it's too many to name. I mean, it's a ton of stuff. But the biggest things are, additional chassis bracing. So you've got a rear strut tower brace that it doesn't intrude or anything, but an additional chassis bracing underneath the floor pan there to make it more rigid and handle better. This also has a redesigned front suspension layout, so it has like zero scrub, so it's much more pure and much more direct. It has rack-mounted power steering. That was a quick lap, you guys. It has what the upgraded Hyundai steering system is called our MPDS, and that's the rack-mounted power steering system. But versus just like the column, I don't know where the other one is mounted, somewhere else. So in addition to being our MPDS, like the sports and many of the turbos in Hyundais, this also has like triple bracing. So the basically just the entire steering box and the entire front suspension is absolutely sublime. It just drives so well. Steering feel is outstanding, and it's they've made this front end just awesome in order to basically keep up with the rest of the car. So the other big change, of course, is that we have a 2-liter turbo versus the 1.6 that's in the Veloster turbos. And that sort of speaks to the overall philosophy Hyundai had with this car, which was to just bring in oversized parts. They could have gone Brembo brakes, and they could have gone, for big name brand stuff, but they've instead just leveraged their entire portfolio of vehicles. So that even includes like Genesis and the big Palisade got some parts pulled off it too. So these are brake calipers from a much bigger car. Well, let's slow down a little bit. So let's think about, how's Hyundai like thinking about this N model? So of course, performance cars are good halo vehicles. They're good, brand makers, and are just important overall. But this car is even more important than that. Hyundai really thinks of their trajectory in the global marketplace as having started with the value proposition. So they got that right, in the 90s. And in the early 2000s. Then, starting in the mid-2000s and over the last decade, Hyundai has focused on being really stylish, in addition to having that value price point and bringing more. Even if it's priced the same as rivals, it's going to bring a lot more equipment. So this next stage in the evolution of Hyundai as a brand is to bring in performance credentials and bring in handling feel. Bring in, best-in-class driver engagement, all of that stuff, and it all starts with this car. So that's why they worked so hard on this car, and that's why it's so awesome, basically. So, it's an absolute delight. Many other upgrades that are too many to mention, but let's talk about the performance pack first. So basically, the standard cars have have the exact same look and the exact same almost everything, except they get a big upgrade for the performance pack from 250 horsepower to 275, and then you also get the limit slip diff upgrade to 19-inch alloys. Custom Hyundai branded HN spec Pirelli P0 tires. So what else is in the performance pack? I'm trying to think. Performance pack, exclusive summer tires, 275 horsepower, 19-inch alloys. Oh yeah, so then you also get the active exhaust and active exhaust. Oh yeah, active exhaust and bigger brakes. So I mean, love it. And that performance pack really is evidence that Hyundai was working with price constraints. They really wanted this to be an affordable pocket rocket, just one click below the Golf R, Focus RS, and Civic Type R, which are all like kissing 40 grand. So the Veloster N's goal was to be as good as those cars in almost every way, but at a realistic, attainable price point. So that, having this performance package and separating some of those options, creating that option really let them come in with that 27K base, which they wanted to do to make it really attainable. So those upgrades with the performance pack, obviously all really critical. I mean, the brakes that are a half an inch bigger all around is very important for this vehicle because it is just so quick. It makes a big difference. Braking feel is outstanding. It's like hitting a wall. I mean, they are really strong brakes. Obviously, performance compound calipers that shed a crazy amount of dust, like obviously all the German brands brake calipers do. So beyond that, what else has changed with this car? Well, basically they've just thrown everything they needed to make it be able to be to hold up on track, have a ton of fun on track, and basically have legendary durability like lots of these Hyundai vehicles, but without sort of the temperamentalness of Focus RS and Civic Type R, which are going to be a concern for maintenance down the road, we think. Okay, so what is all that stuff? I mean, it's an extensive list. The thing that I love best is essentially how much adjustability there is in this vehicle. So you've got 7 parameters that are adjustable. So I can go to, I just went back to ES. Anyway, you have 7 parameters. I wish I could show them to you, but it's like the engine management, suspension, exhaust, stability control, steering feel, that's 5. Well, there's basically 7 parameters that are adjustable. I wish I could show them to you on the screen right now, but I'm currently driving pretty hard, and I've got a big grin on my face. Hyundai calls the performance control modules the N grin control, and it's a cute name, and it definitely is apt. So we've got these 2 sort of like light blue buttons here to match these special seat belts, and the 14 N badges that are on the inside of this car. So these buttons obviously are where the action is. Drive mode, so you can go to normal, sport, or eco, which kills all the fun, by the way. Eco makes it really, well, it's still got power, but it really dulls the throttle response quite a bit. And then you've got the flip side of that. So then we've got the N mode default, which goes to hardest core for everything. So we'll stick in that for a little bit. Exhaust with the overrun is outstanding. I mean, those pops out back sound awesome. It fires up with a big gurgle, huge pipes in back. I mean, very it really brings the experience to life in a really fun way. So this road is actually very smooth. So the fact that we are feeling the pitter patter of bumps is just great evidence of how adjustable the suspension is. And all these settings that we mentioned are not just hard and soft. There's like 4, a lot of times 3 to 4 options within each setting. So you can really personalize the handling flavor and abilities to your liking. So just driving around here, doing regular commute stuff is when I've really liked N Custom, because it's just not so bouncy. But obviously that the full N mode gives you a lot more control and really firms up the suspension quite a bit on an impressive amount of adjustment for that suspension setting. So the car drives awesome. It's so much fun. There's so much grip from the nose. This limit slip differential with electronic control is very effective, and then there is also integrated torque vectoring built in there. So it's got special front axle, special front suspension, special diff with limited slip and torque vectoring. I mean, the nose is obviously where all the power is going for this front wheel drive vehicle, so it needs a lot of control, and it's got it. It really is a sublime car. Extremely fun, and fills a really cool place in the marketplace. Obviously a lot quicker and more hardcore than like Civic Si or GTI, and going to be a lot rarer than those cars as well. See, the limits, I mean, instead of understeering, it just corners harder. It loves it. It absolutely loves it. You can make it understeer sometimes, but it's very rare. So in some of those bends, we might have wanted the suspension to be in a more of a firmer mode, but we're good. So more hardcore than GTI, obviously a lot quicker, a lot more power. But so in having this sort of like value-oriented supercar approach, there are some things that may have gotten left out in the mix. So what might those things be? Well, I personally don't care about the following, but some people might. So with the N, you lose what is standard lane keep, I think, and some of the other active safety stuff from the other loaded versions of the Veloster, because they just had to do everything they could to afford these performance mods, and they made the right choice. Steering feels so good on throttle around corners. Let's go back in a second. Rev matching is awesome. That's another parameter, is the rev matching. One of the most unusual things you will notice just getting in this car versus other hot hatchbacks and small turbos is the red line. So the red line is 6,750 or 6,800 RPM, which is fairly low. Which is low. I mean, and basically this motor, it already makes all its torque. So like they could have made a lot of components stronger and let it rev out a little bit more. And maybe that'll be in the next iteration of the N models. But it is a little unusual to have the red line be so low. And with some of these tweaks, it really revs fast. So there's the N model has standard shift lights that are very, very effective in terms of letting you know when to shift. And it's also pretty mild when you do hit that red line, so we can hit it again. It just sort of like, it's not like some kind of hard cut. It just tells you there's nothing else to give. So the flashing lights, very, very effective. We're going to go back in pure N modes with the suspension in its firmest. I love this car. I genuinely love it. So inside, in addition to those the unique badging everywhere, you've got a custom sport steering wheel. I think a little bit of extra bolstering in the seats, and some other goodies. Inside, though, there are some weak spots. Like, for example, it doesn't have nav, but it does have CarPlay and Android Auto. So you don't really need it, but it's kind of odd that it doesn't have it. A lot of, I don't know. So the other thing is, like, there's no leather available at all. Not a big deal, I guess, but just a little bit unusual. So that's another quirk. Some of the cabin plastics, like these, are really good and high-techy, but like this stuff is really, really cheap. It just reminds you that this is based on an $18,000 car. But are the trade-offs worth it? Yes, absolutely. The rigidity of this body feels outstanding. The nose, as we said, is superb. It's so different than WRX and Type R in terms of its resistance to it really doesn't tramline. It doesn't have much torque steer at all either, but it also it basically has no torque steer. It's very, very impressive. But it unlike a lot of WRX STIs and the Focus RS, for example, it doesn't like find grooves in the pavement and try to find that stuff. It really just holds its line well. It's a peach. I love it. I love this car. I know that if you buy this car, you will become a Hyundai devotee. You're going to love it. You're going to try to track this thing. You're going to smile every single day you drive it. And you're going to think you made a good choice, and you absolutely did. So what are some other wish list items? Well, I mean, I kind of wish there was a moonroof. It's a little dark in here, and the only other thing is, it's just missing some of the luxury kit that you would get on on the loaded Mazda 3 or a loaded GTI, which granted are each $5,000 more with a lot less power. But for example, you have like auto up and auto down for the driver's window, but the two passenger windows, the front and then for the back, the single back door, there's no not even auto down, which is weird. There's no blind spot monitoring system. which is so you've got this special like convex element of the mirror that does help you see in your blind spot, but the car does not have great visibility, so blind spot would be helpful. It's another one of those places where, listen, it was either get a 5-second 0 to 60 time for under 30 grand, or include all this stuff and make it 40 grand. So obviously these trade-offs are all worth it. Yeah, like that was a big one. So we'll go back into N mode custom. They've just really been smart about everything with this car. You can tell it was in development for a long time because everything is perfect. So really thrilled to be driving it. I hope you guys enjoyed this steer. And then we'll close on one last thing. So there's 4 colors available. Only one of them is exclusive to the Veloster N, and that is that the light blue. It's actually like a periwinkle, but I don't want to label them with that. But it basically evokes their World Rally Championship cars, which of course this vehicle evokes in a lot of ways besides the color. So the only other thing that I would say is like the style is great. It looks amazing. It looks really, really cool. It's clearly a Veloster, but it's a nice update, and it really has a lot of appeal in 2019 and going into the 2020s. The only thing that I'm like sort of reluctant to say, because looks are always subjective, but the front LED execution is a little lackluster. It's basically like 2 little cups underneath, the single projector ball LED low beam, and then the what is like a halogen reflector high beam. But they have dots in them. You can see the dots. It's not a continuous line of light. It kind of looks like the Chevy Cruze, which is not a good look for any vehicle. And it's just a little less future-proof and a little less just like shockingly attractive and appealing like the rest of this Veloster N. But absolutely everything else with this car is awesome. Stereo's great, tech's great, the ride in some of the comfort modes is really good. Having 5 different modes and that grid control lets you be very, very conservative or as wild as you dare. And then of course all these mechanical mods. I mean, there could be a whole sticker of mechanical mods that this car needed in order to perform this well versus the Veloster Turbo and the Veloster R-Spec. It's just that good. This is a really awesome machine. I don't know what production numbers are going to look like, but you should try to snap one up if you have the opportunity. If you drive it, get ready to bring your checkbook back, because there's no other result from a test drive of this car. It's so fun, so fast. You're going to love it. All right, see you later. This is Tom Burkhardt from car-revs Daily. Subscribe.